Hello and welcome to my latest decluttering video. My name is Leah and my channel is called Leah's Tidy World. And I wanted to share something with you, but first of all, I wanted to show you the newest addition to our household. It sounds like I'm getting a puppy, not really, but it's this. And I noticed that I didn't like some of the old ones anymore. And this goes with the theme of honing our sensitivity to what brings us joy. And so I thought about getting a new one, but then I coincidentally stumbled upon this one. It was only $1.99 and it was very cute. It didn't come with this band, so it's funny because I have this jar and it used to be for decoration, so this is like full of ribbons. And I thought, what do I do? But then I was like, oh, I can use one of those, because I had decided to start using them because I thought, well, they're not really useful being in the corner, just being cute. And I always had kind of considered them as too fancy to use, but now I think that I've decided to start using them wherever I needed to. And you know, you don't really need loads of ribbons all the time, so that was a fun coincidence that this fell into place really neatly, because I ended up needing a ribbon. And it's so cute how I chose the Be Mine one because it says, guess how much I love you, and so it kind of is a symbolic theme there. So I thought that was cute and I just wanted to throw that in. There's something I want to share which is kind of personal to me, but I've decided to do it just to give people an example of what can be written. If you know the KonMari method, you know that she asks you to visualize your home and the life-changing magic of tidying up. And I'm currently reading Joy at Work. So there, she asks these, comes to tidying your workplace. Now, I didn't really have like an office type workplace, but I still wanted to learn more about decluttering, and then I decided to utilize the knowledge from that book on all things work related. So I stumbled upon these 3 questions to describe your work life in detail. What kind of work life sparks joy for you? And what are your values when it comes to work? So these 3 questions have been unexpectedly helpful. I talked about that a little bit in my digital decluttering video, so if you haven't watched that already, you know, you're welcome to go ahead and watch that. I would definitely recommend doing that. And I found those questions so helpful. So today I felt like, why don't I write about my ideal wardrobe? Like, therefore my ideal dress life, I guess. Getting dressed life, my ideal dress life. Why don't I write about that in so much detail? I hadn't really thought to do that before, because I think she only mentions it as like a generalized version of like the whole flat. But let's see if I can. Wardrobe goals. My ideal wardrobe. Because she only mentions it. Oh, I got my wardrobe. Ta-da! In terms of, yeah, and also I hadn't really known what to write about. I hadn't really known what needs to go in it, and so I guess I thought I'd done it. At first I didn't really take it as seriously, because I hadn't, like, even though I totally believed in visualizing things, I hadn't known the importance of really doing that. And actually writing things down, writing out all the points, gets you to think about it in depth, what you really want from your life, from that space, and you know in the future what you want things to look like, to be like, to feel like, maybe even smell like. And you don't, and also it kind of gets us to think about it in so much depth that we find answers that we didn't know we could come up with. So that's why I really recommend writing it out. But the quick backstory story, and I'll be showing it in a minute. Just like don't want to show that it's like people start reading it. It's just not finished. I mean it's finished written, but not right. So God, I'm so dumb. Well, so basically, I hadn't really like known the importance of doing that, and I hadn't known what to write about. So this is one of the reasons why I want to share mine with you today. But I also want to share the idea of doing that for every area where it feels necessary. It's a difference if we go into the kitchen and if you open the wardrobe, like there's different things we want from that space and the items utilized therein. So, or you know, from which live there. So it totally made a difference too. When I noticed how much of a difference it made for the work area of my life, I decided to utilize it for the wardrobe, and so I'm pretty sure I'll utilize it for, you know, books next, or this is so bit cluttered, so sorry about that. And paper, and you know, whatever, you know, storage area is yet to come. Unless it'll be so second nature by then that I won't need to anymore, because if I don't need to, then I don't need to, but as of now, I'm pretty sure, like, you know, as long as it'll serve me well, I'll definitely do that for the next categories too. So I would totally recommend that, and I just wanted to give you an idea of what you could write. So, even though it's very personal, so I had a bit of second thoughts, but I decided to go ahead and read that out to you as well. And yeah, it's only like generalized asked of us to write about our visualize our ideal home, you know, ideal lifestyle, but we can really go into more depth and more detail and break it down so that it can help us. But the power of visualization, like, you know, because if you don't know where you're going, how can you go there? And then we wonder why we don't end up reaching our decluttering goals. I mean, if you don't know where we're actually headed, unless it's to more clutter, if you don't know where you want to go, how can we achieve it? How can we etwas umsetzen? How can we, you know, realize that? If we don't know what that actually is. So it's really, really helpful to really be clear on what it is you want, and for you to know what you want and to know that you know, because that makes us feel competent, and that you can come up with it, and you can come up with that, you know, from the depth of your soul. Like, where is that coming from? If you sit down to write down something, what you want from an area in your life, like dress life, getting dressed life, we can say, but i.e. wardrobe, you know, that's really helpful. I mean, I found it so helpful for the work area that I then knew where I was going, that I wanted to apply this to the next area. And as the houses started with clothing, I don't know, it just was the nahelings, that was just the closest one, like the most natural one to go to. So I decided, I mean, these questions were a little bit tailored to work life, but I decided to utilize these questions. When I wanted to write about it, I automatically went back to those questions. I'm not sure if there could be some that might be more tailored to a wardrobe, but these have helped me and worked really well, so I wanted to share them with you. So describe it in detail. Like your dress life. What kind of getting dressed life sparks joy for me? And what are my values when it comes to that area? And also incorporated in one or two is what I need handy. That was very like work life related or tailored to it, because of course when you're working, you're utilizing whatever it is you need for work, tools, or you know, like whatever tools there are, even a pen is a tool, a laptop, or whatever tools you need to do your job. So of course having them handy is kind of different, but I did think that, although I mistakenly left that out, but I think it's, or maybe this is one for the next one, but it's worth thinking about what may be placed where so it's easy to get to. For example, long story short, we ended up having one drawer free here, and then I had this eureka moment. I realized, what needs to go in here are my PJs, because it was settled that it was for me to utilize for my clothes. But then, which ones? And there is kind of in the Life-Changing Magic, she mentions that it's the house tells you where things need to go. I know I said that in a funny voice. I mean, but it's just, I don't know if the house tells us, but for sure we have sometimes got these realizations like, oh my god, yes, and then it's like, this is exactly where that thing should be housed, and that's exactly the thing that needs to go here, like almost as if it's always meant to go there and you simply hadn't found out yet. You hadn't given yourself the chance to find out yet because maybe you hadn't decluttered yet and then not gotten to storage solutions. So this was perfect. Having this like right next to the bed just makes so much sense. And then, but that being said, I haven't incorporated that. I thought I forgot, but it might be good because I don't want to kind of stand in the way of decluttering by thinking too much about what needs to go where, when that's kind of an issue for later, because first I need to know what I actually have. And it's like more important and more dire to declutter. And I think it makes sense to not be too stuck on, hey, this needs to go here, and then even though there's no space for it there or something like that. Also, what else did I want to mention? Oh, right, I wasn't too sure what the difference is between 1 and 2, and I understand it as, basically I utilize it in this way, that it describes in detail what kind of dress life sparks joy for me. So I hope that makes sense. I'll be reading it out in a minute, so don't worry about starting to read, but I'm not sure if there's anything I'm missing, if these are like, these don't seem so very different points as this one, but this one really, really helped me last time when it came to the area of work. Even wanting to like the theme of work as like a work goal, like that's great. Even to put that into your perspective of your horizon, like that it looks as something that can be achieved, because that's a step forward. That's great. So, and then we can ask ourselves what kind of work we would want to do and things, or how our work can spark joy or more joy. But that was work, of course. This is the wardrobe, so to speak, of dress life. So Schiller had rated. So I don't know if, well, it's been 10 minutes plus, but yeah, these 3 questions still really helped me the first time, so I wanted to utilize them again, and it's obviously worked out because I wrote a lot. So I wanted to give you an idea of what can be written about. So it's very personal, so a part of me like doesn't want to share. It's not that I want to hide it, but I just feel like it's personal. But I'm also really proud of it and happy, and even writing this brought me joy, and I want to share it with you. Excuse me. I want to share some ideas for you what you can write about, as that was something that I hadn't known to begin with, going into the KonMari method, which was like 2014 or something. And I guess I skipped the point a little bit too much because I didn't even know what could be written about. But also breaking this down has really helped, as it makes it clearer what actually needs to be written about. I may have a better understanding of what my need is from a certain space for example, the kitchen, as opposed to the whole house. Of course I do too, like feeling at home, feeling welcome, feeling comfortable, warm, cozy, things like that. Having somewhere to go and relax and to come home to and feel protected and things and loved. That's true actually. Maybe I've just become more kind of think differently. More my like thinking and writing is more structured now, I think. So maybe decluttering has changed me, just like Komari says. But so much for that. You know what? I'll do a part 2. Shall I do a part 2? No. Let's read it. So first of all, the sight of the wardrobe closed is clutter-free and calming and peaceful to look at. There are no excess clothes or bags or accessories strewn around the room, in particular not around the wardrobe, because everything fits in. There may be 2 drawers with clothes in the dresser. The mini, I meant to mention, Rosalie shelves fit into the wardrobe. So it's those shelves basically, but it's that there are some very like tailored to my life or our lives, so there are some things that are just very specific, but you know, you don't need to know exactly what it is. It could be something different for you. I meant to have mentioned that. And the in particular is like, it's not particularly no clothes around the wardrobe and then they're all strewn somewhere else. It's not like that. Also, I wrote in the present tense to visualize it as if it's already like I'm visualizing it, so it's like in my mind this image is current. It's like this is how I want it to be. When I open the wardrobe, I am greeted with a clutter-free space, and it gives me a pang of joy to look at. I am not overwhelmed by an excess amount of clothing. I have enough, i.e. I earn what I need. All my clothing needs are covered. Zur Genüge, I wrote that in German, but you know, to satisfaction or enough. And what brings me joy? I own what I need and what brings me joy. Everything hangs neatly in its place, or is folded in cute packages and may be in the natural wooden boxes. And the space is utilized well, including the hanging shelves on top. Yeah, we have these shelves, and this is something I talked about in a video that mysteriously got deleted, or it disappeared from my phone. So I wanted to share that with you, and that was the first one for this new channel, and I lost that. So it's not even anything that I did to lose it. Well, okay, I need to declutter my phone, but I know where it's supposed to be in the phone, and it's not there. So this was one of the things I mentioned. I had so many good points there that I really was excited to share with you, and I lost the footage. But I'll see if in the future, maybe whatever points I remember, I can make maybe like a short version of it. But most of it, I mainly remember that my points were great. But one of the things was, I don't want to talk too much, but like these shelves, they go up really high, so it's kind of difficult to utilize the space well, because you can only reach in through till here, and then if I fold clothes up, they keep falling down, so I put my bags there, and I just want, it would be great, ideally I'd find an even more ideal way of utilizing that space, because I mean I can't put shelves because I wouldn't be able to get to the top, so I feel like that part of the space is kind of wasted. But having bags in there works better than what I used to do, clothes, so that's great that I found that solution. Excuse me, let me see where I was. Okay, the bags are visible and displayed nicely. It gives a calm and peaceful feeling to look at the whole wardrobe, and reduces stress getting ready in the morning. I'm rigid. You know what? It's like everything KonMari said, but I hadn't understood it, and it's like I'm only getting to that point now to really understand it, and really, it's really all so true. Shall I do another part, because you know what, let me just read this out, because I don't want it to be in a second part, and the second part is like 5 minutes long, but I don't want one part to be 40 minutes or something. I am greeted with the natural, but let me read this out, it should be okay. Natural colors of clothing, including some autumny colors. The overall feels natural, simple, minimalistic, and nature or earth connected, with natural fibers all throughout, with a one or other cute exception that I like just because it brings me joy. I am not wasteful in my consumption of clothing, and I'm happy to get many things secondhand, as I already am. But this is not a forced attitude, and I do not shy away from brand new things if they give me joy and are deemed a well selected, useful or necessary addition to my wardrobe. So that's I love how I phrase things actually, because one sentence holds a lot of information, a lot of the well selected is like an important point, because it means in my vision I don't just shop and shop randomly, but it's well selected and thought through. And an addition to my wardrobe, to even regard it that, even though I slurred the words there, to consider it, whether this is necessary or whether it's something that's a good addition, that's something that will last a long time, for example. I will invest in quality over quantity and support organic clothing stores with my purchases. My leather, I spelled that wrong, will eventually be 100% purchased secondhand, as I do not like animals dying for a bag when there are so many other options. Would say I'm already 80 to 95% there, but this will in future also include my shoes. My clothes are aufeinander abgestimmt, well harmonized to each other. Is that the right preposition? Harmonized. And almost all go with each other somehow, making it easy to select an outfit in the morning or whenever. Because sometimes you have to change during the day, or you're going out with someone after work, so you want to wear something different. It doesn't always have to be the morning, but mainly the morning. The color palette, just what pops into your mind, the color palette really aids to that. Oh, to how everything kind of goes with each other. Because if the colors go with each other, it's like good bet. Sometimes patterns also play a part, but there isn't a piece, and I want to mention, this was one of the things I mentioned in that first video, you don't have to have a neutral palette for your clothes in order to be minimalistic. It can still work even if you like fun patterned clothing. You can still have less things and they can still work with each other. You can have a floral top where the flowers are blue on beige, and then blue pants, and they work. But that's another point, actually. There isn't a piece that I don't wear. Luxe items are well incorporated into my wardrobe, and I get around to wearing them. It's meant to mean luxurious items, like things that sometimes you have dresses and you want to keep them for the awesome occasion that never comes around. So in my vision, I will wear them to whatever the nicest occasion is that I want to wear something nice too. I have great options that feel abundant. I love even reading this, even how I wrote it, writing it brought me joy. So it seems like you're on a good path there if it feels that way. My options include pure wool fabrics, which are cuddly and snug and warm for the winter, so I totally don't need to worry about being too cold during some winter days. It will also aid my travels, as I will have something nice and warm to wear during winter. Christmas visits to Germany, for example, where it's colder than here. This includes my woolen underwear. I will take care of these items during summer and rotate them or give them life through the palm of my hands, so as to shoo all moths away. They won't even think about it. So, yeah, when you fold things or you stroke, when you love something, this brings me so much joy, and you just touch it because you just you're so happy about it. But also when folding, you kind of give that energy into the item, so it kind of reinforces that relationship we have with the item. It's actually so true, and you can notice it if something has become kind of old feeling, even if it's not old, but it feels old because maybe it was stuck at the back of your wardrobe and you haven't reached for it in forever. So then you can notice why is that. If you explore why, you are likely to find that it may be because you haven't seen that item, so you haven't been in touch with the item, and you haven't literally touched that item, you haven't held it, you haven't, held it close and felt, oh my god, it sparks so much joy for me. They were kind of just cast aside and like left alone. And sometimes when it's phrased that way, it sounds maybe silly to those who don't understand it, but once you realize how true it is, you actually get it as like, it's so true. Where was I? So that's a tip there. If you want to keep them fresh, and folding really helps, because we are going to be in touch with the clothes, folding them because we have to, because we are folding them. But I try to like revive some of my older feeling things and bring that joy back by like holding them close and putting extra effort into like an attention into bringing that joy back into like the item, like the energy of it. And I will thus wake up my clothes in general, like meaning also other fabrics, not just wool, in such a fashion regularly so as to keep them sparkling joy and keep an interest and the relationship going. This avoids them getting old, feeling wise, and outdated. Sometimes something is physically old and sometimes it feels kind of old because you kind of haven't really like reached, not because there's a reason to not reach for it, but because it was out of sight, and then it feels old, even though you would have really loved wearing them if you had seen them, and then it kind of feels like it doesn't belong in your like time right now anymore. I kind of want to enjoy that, because if I invest in an item, I want to get use out of it. The overall style of my clothes is inspired by the simplicity of medieval fashion and fabric types available. I will add to them because I don't know if that sounds very like different or something, but it's true that they have had a lot more simple garments, and I think it would really add to my life to have that simplicity going. And it's like, if you feel content, it feels so pure and beautiful, really, that I really love that and want to incorporate that more in my life. I kind of have started, like, for example, this has a lot of lint now, but something like that. Simple doesn't always mean boring. There can be lots of details, like it has this cord here and things like that, but it's just, for you it might be something completely different, but knowing that for yourself, about yourself, is really helpful to know where you are wanting to go with your wardrobe, so that you can take it there, rather than going just anywhere. And tidy is very general, like tidy, yeah, you want it to be tidy, of course, but tidy can mean 10 things to 10 different people, 10 different things to 10 different people, can mean a whole different things to a whole bunch of people. So what does that actually mean, tailored to you? And tailored is a good word, because we're talking about clothes. But I'm almost at 30 minutes, so let me finish this. I will add to them as appropriate, carefully fulfilling my needs, noting them quickly, like the needs, taking care to invest in quality over quantity, and rarely for fun only, whilst allowing myself to have fun so as to not feel deprived, but this will be all in good measure, as I will have a feel for it, and for if and what's needed, and my clothing needs are 95 to 100% fulfilled most of the time, and all my clothing gets worn. I'll just let that sink in for a sec. It feels good and joyous to have these needs fulfilled, and not... I said I would let it sink in, I didn't give a second. Ta-da! It feels good and joyous to have these needs fulfilled and not need to want for anything, and I don't feel deprived. How do I do that? Like, this was my goal. Then I asked myself the question, but then as I wrote it, I came up with the answer, and it's like, I didn't come up with the answer. I found out that I already had the answer while writing it, and then, like, as I was writing it, I realized, yeah, exactly, that's how that works. So this is why writing it down is really helpful. I think it kind of organizes our thoughts as well, and I think it's so useful. You can come up with so many good ideas of how to tidy and clear out and declutter your home. So there's no need for any of us to sit there and say, I can't do this, I don't know how. Let me hurry up because even my battery is low. So, and where I do decide to add one or the other thing, like the reason that, okay, so there were some purchases I had, it gets into the cycle of being worn as I only buy what brings joy, and ideally it would keep its balance as I let go of. See, I still said ideally because I was still figuring it out, because I thought it was my ideal. I didn't know it could work, but then like I found out it can work, and it does work. As I let go of what does not spark joy. However, I am yet to see exactly how that works, but I will focus on what joy it sparks to have enough warmth of clothing and not want for anything. And this will, in the end, start to make up for whatever temporary joy one might get from a money wasting quick shop. Which it really does too. The money saved on those trips will be invested in quality clothing instead, and what's left over will go on holidays or something. Thus, I will feel like it was just examples, but it can go into a bigger like investment. Thus, I will feel a spark of, depending what I will need at the time. Thus, I will feel a spark of joy every day, even when they are the same pieces of clothing. When one becomes old and outworn, I do not hesitate, nor do I feel guilty to pass the joy that used to come with it on to the next person. I do not own excessive accessories that I never reach for. Ideally, I will have found a great solution for the top shelf. Everything can be seen at a glance. Spark joy, ding, how cute. You know how she always says that? I felt compelled to write that down at the end. And yay, the whole text in itself sparks joy, so that was awesome. So here you have it, my example for what you can write about how you would like your ideal wardrobe to be. And you can see that I filled 2 pages back and front, so that's how much detail, or even more probably, possibly for you, you can come up with, and it really helps. It supports your mind, as I said before, to know exactly where you are wanting to go. It's only if we know that can we actually even begin to find a way how to get there. So that was really fun for me. Writing it, reading it is fun. I love the words. I love that I found that out about myself, and I hope I hope you are loving this video the same way. I hope this was joy sparking for you and helpful, and let me know in the comment section if you have or are going to utilize any of these tips and pieces of advice that I have spread here with this video. And let me know if you liked it, and which one was like your favorite points of the kind of text, like of like what is the thing that you can see spark joy for you in your wardrobe as well. One of the things I mentioned, like maybe the fabric type, or you know, the overall feel of it, calm and peaceful. I would love to know that. So I would like to thank you for watching and bearing with me for all this time, to really have listened deeply, and really appreciate you being here. And I really hope to see you back here with me for the next one for more decluttering updates. So if you are new here, remember this channel, Yes Tidy World. I would love for you to subscribe, so please consider that. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks again for coming along. Bye! Have a good one. Oh, and update me on how your decluttering is going.